What's going on? It's November 19th. It is 2 p.m. And I just want to come on here and talk about basically how some people just live for so long that they end up just living. So if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you're probably doing it. So the first thing really is just the moment you realize you're actually not living, you're just maintaining. Because I know a lot of times people think that, oh, they're living their best life when they like go out like every weekend and like they're stressed out for the whole week, then they go out on the weekend and they think that's living life, but then they get back to Monday and it's like, oh, you know what I mean? So just remembering to not just maintain but to actually thrive, because I know a lot of the time responsibilities make you forget like what you actually desire. So like jobs, family, love life, whatever it is, your energy is put into all these other things, and you kind of put yourself to the side. But you have to really remember that routines do numb you a little bit, because you're having to put yourself in a position to be able to continue all those things that you have going on, plus doing your desire. But that also makes me remember that people are always putting in like 90% of humanity is only putting in like 50 to 70% of what they actually want to do. And 50 I'd say 50 to 70% in life in general, but what they actually want to do is might be way lower, because a lot of people don't chase what they actually want. They just chase what they kind of conform to. Um and routines really do, because you get yourself a routine and you think, okay, so I don't want to say like every routine's bad, because every routine is just for every person, but to make your routine as full and as full as can be, and keeping yourself busy, like I don't want to say keeping yourself busy all the time, but always working towards something, because I've realized you have to always keep your mind, body, and spirit intact. Those three things always have to be intact, and you always have to be wanting to get better at those. Because if you don't, if you miss one of the three, okay, we'll break it down. I want to break this down very quickly, because this has been on my mind for a long time. I had a trip the other day, a trip the other day, and that was like the epiphany that I grabbed from it. And if you have your mind, if you have your spirit but no mind, you're always going to be that person just talking. I can't wait to, I can't wait to. Oh, only if, only if. But if you only have your mind and no spirit, then you're going to be giving your intelligence away to someone else. But if you got mind and spirit, but you have no body, you don't have the health to be able to indulge into either of the two. Or if you got spirit and body but no mind, once again, you're going to be putting your intelligence into something else, but you'll have a good body while you're doing it. You know what I mean? And I don't want to get into I don't want to get into the whole like Bible and everything, but in the Bible it says your body is the least important thing. Uh, out of the three. Out of the three, it's the least important. But obviously, you have to have the mind and spirit to be able to even want to get into your body. You know what I mean? So those two things come first, then you dive into your body. But obviously, sometimes it comes different. Like some people get into their body first before they get into their mind and spirit. But for me, I got into my spirit first, and then I got into my mind, and then I got into my body. You know what I mean? Um, but the stress really does replace purpose sometimes, because a lot of people think that the more stressed out they are, the more like important their life is, but that's not how it is at all. Like if you're more stressed out, that first of all means you don't have any faith in yourself and your higher being, and that means that you're probably living for other people. Like if you really think about it, because if you're always stressed out, you're not doing what you want to do. Like there's a difference between being like, I guess you could say maybe anxious. I don't even want to say anxious really, but even I don't know how to. There's a difference between wanting wanting what you actually want and wanting to look good to people. You know what I mean? And when you're trying to look good to people, that's when you get stressed out, because now you're worrying about everyone's opinions. Now you're worrying about everyone's perspective on you. Now you're worrying about what you have to do for your now you're worrying about what you have to do, like literally what you have to do you know what you have to do, but you're worrying about how it's gonna look to other people. And that's just fuck everyone, bro. Fuck everyone. Like I will show peace and love to every single person, but at the same time, fuck you guys. I do not care about your opinion. And that's to anyone in my life actually. Because the only time I will ever take someone's opinion for what it actually is, well, I take everyone's opinion for what it is because it's their opinion. It doesn't really matter. But I will never take advice from someone who I won't trade my life with ever because the people when people give you when people give you their opinion on a situation, they're giving you their opinion on what they would do in your situation. So when it's people who are not successful in their own life, and I'm not saying success is like making money or anything, but being happy and being able to show love while you're doing what you want to do, that's real success to me. And so when people who I know aren't doing that, who are hateful and who just like who don't love themselves or just aren't doing what they're wanting, they're always stressed out. Those are the people I'm like, well, majority of people I'm not taking advice from because they're not able to put their words into action. And they live out of fear, so they're telling you what they would do in your situation. And when you're telling them like the risky things you're doing in life, they're like, "Dude, what are you doing? Why would you ever do that?" And that's because that's what I'm inspired to do. And people just don't get that. They don't get that at all. I'm sorry I went off the track a little bit there, but people just do not understand that you cannot take advice from people who you would not trade your life with. Because really think about it. If you're asking for advice from someone, they're going to tell you what they would do in their situation, and you know you don't want to be in their situation. So why would you ever take their advice? That's the only time I've ever taken advice with someone. So once I see that their words match their actions and their actions match their words, that's when I would take the advice. But until then, I'm gonna listen to you, but I'm not absorbing what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like I'm observing, but I'm not observing. How stress replaces purpose. I just said that. The brain shuts down creativity, drama, or sorry, the brain shuts down creativity, dreams, and risk taking when it's trying to be safe. So I know a lot of the time people early in their life they have to be in survival mode because I talked about this in my last podcast how like you're in that or no, I actually posted a TikTok about it. How you're in this fish tank and you think that you're still in this fish tank, but you've actually outgrown the fish tank. And if you want to know more about that, look at the TikTok I posted. Link in bio. Whew, I've never said that. Link in bio though. Sorry. I had some cereal before I ate this. Oh, my chest is sore. Bro, my chest has been sore for probably like 4 days now. And anytime I like, oh, oh, oh. Sorry I made those odd noises. This is how I'm feeling. But the brain does really shut those things off, and people live in survival mode forever because that fish tank. Okay, so I'll break it down, bro. So the fish tank, the fish bowl, you know the little clear ones. You put a goldfish in there, and then you put that goldfish in the bowl. Then you put that bowl inside of a big fish tank. That fish is going to spin around that same exact little bowl forever until it dies. But it has the hole's open at the top, but it's just stuck in that circle because that's think what it's all conformed to because that's what it's been its whole life. And people do the same thing where they're stuck in the same mentality of survival. Survive, survive, survive. And when you're doing that, creativity shut down, dreams are shut down, risk taking is shut down because you're thinking too realistic. And you really think this world is the Matrix, bro. Really, this world is the Matrix. Think about, I talked about this, I think, in my last podcast, how everything is just numbers. It is the real Matrix. So you have to remember that reality for people is not real reality. It's the reality they've conformed to because they're stressed and they're in the survival mode and they don't want to get out. Well, some people do want to get out, but they just can't get out. They don't have the mind to be able to get out. When people want to get out, they have the spirit to, but don't have the mind to. And I was on the phone with my friend and we were talking about that. I was talking about because I talked to him after I had the epiphany. I was talking about that. Then he just got into sales and I was talking to him about how like you can't sell dumb, poor, or broke. That is the exact same Oh wait, dumb, broke, or unhealthy. You can't sell those three because the way sales decisions all making that's a whole other thing. But I realize you can't sell dumb, which is spirit. You can't sell mind, which is money, because you have to be able to put your mind to into reality. And you can't sell unhealthy, you can't sell the body. But yeah, just remember we're not in that bowl anymore. We got this whole fish tank ahead of us. This whole fish tank. We are not in that bowl anymore. So remember that you do not have to be in survival mode 24/7 because you're not in the same situation you used to be in when you had to be in the survival mode. Signs you're alive but not living. All right. First one. Every day feels the same. If your day feels the same every single day, that's when you know you're just living. You're not alive. Like you're just alive. You're not living at all. You're just there and you're going through the motions and you're living for other people really. And then you're always busy but never satisfied. So people think that they don't have a lot of free time. You have a lot of free time. Think about work, 8 hours. Sleep, 7 to 8 hours. Dude, I be seeing those that thank you. So you have that's 16 hours. So then you got 8 more hours to do whatever you want to do. But people waste it on doom scrolling, consuming media, consuming the news. I guess media is news. Consuming religion, but if you are able to do it in the right way, there's a difference between religion and spirit. Um, worrying about too much about partying, just like wasting your time. Of course, you're not going to have any time because you're wasting it. So just remember, I say just remember that there is a possibility of doing what you want to do. You just have to put the effort into doing it. I've realized so many people have been putting in 50 to 70% their whole life. They're just getting through it. They're getting through the motions. But once you start putting 100%, and I'm not saying 100% is you're giving 100% every day. I'm saying you're giving that effort every single day because you know that there's an outcome on the other end. And another sign that you're just alive and not living, nothing excites you. This one has got to me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's getting a little better now because I'm getting closer with like getting into school and everything, and like actually doing all this. And my body. That's what I get most excited about right now is my body and school, because like I'm actually like starting to see I'm like getting a intermediate with working out. I'd say I know what I'm doing in the gym. But with schooling, now I'm getting those little dopamine hits of learning. But I'm not even in yet. That's the thing. Like it's crazy. Um, you feel like you're drifting instead of choosing. So once again, you're just getting through life instead of choosing what you want to do. And a lot of people think that when they're in a struggle, they think that they're struggling for a reason, but sometimes you're struggling for no reason. You're struggling because of everything in here. Everything in your mind, like this Mac Miller song. He says, get so far in my mind that I start tripping about shit that ain't even happened yet. And it is so real. Because people start tripping in their mind, spiraling down, 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 meow, boom. And then it just explodes in their head that like everything is just going to shit. But nothing changed. Nothing changed. And and then when you're stressed out, I feel like you're not always gonna be stressed out, but there's always gonna be those moments of like, you know what I mean? But you can be in a struggle of what you want to do. I thank God when I'm struggling because I know it's what I want to do. But people struggle with things that they don't want to do, and that's when you get fucked up in the head because you start to think you struggling is getting you somewhere, but it's not. You're struggling for other people. You're struggling for the validation. You're struggling for making, like, when you're a worker, when you're an employee, you're making someone else's dream come true. So you're struggling for that person. Then you're struggling for the loved ones around you. Then you're struggling for the, I don't know if I said party already, but partying. And if I did say partying, the people around you. And a lot of the time the people around you are not good for you. If you got a big circle, you gotta eliminate some of those people, because you know they're not good for you. You know they're not a good influence. You know they are not a good influence. So you have to be able to take a step back. And I'm not saying fuck them forever and like you'll never talk to them again, because you can love from a distance, and someday that person can come around and realize that you weren't as crazy as you thought. Everyone's crazy, but you're not as crazy as you thought. You know what I mean? So just remember that you can be you can be going through life, but you can just be drifting as well, thinking that you're getting through life to somewhere else. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, they throw out what they're doing and they try to make it seem a lot more important than it actually is. But it's not. You know what I mean? Like, or I don't want to say as important as it is, but I would rather say as much of a struggle for a good reason. Like, they're struggling for someone else instead of struggling for themselves. You know what I mean? And then they make it seem like, oh, this is such a hard thing, but it's actually not. They're so lackadaisical throughout it that it seems a lot harder because they're not actually trying. Like, oh, I hope this person does not see this, but a friend of mine was like, I think DJing is really easy. So I this is no shame, no like hating or nothing. But I was like, all right, bet. You think it's I first of all, when they said it, I was like, you think that's easy? And then they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then so I'm like, all right, bet. I pulled this laptop out and I got BandLab on there because I'd be like playing, I like playing with the piano on there, and I like making some beats, just for shits and giggles. So I pull it out, boom, get it in front of them, dude. When I tell you, gets on their phone, like gets on here and is like, I have no idea what to do. Like literal like error popped up in their brain. So I'm like, all right, let me see what I can do. So I'm starting to like try and problem solve, like see how to get these beats going and everything. Because I only did like samples at the time, but after that now I'm starting to mess with the piano and everything. But I only did samples, so I was like trying to find where I could insert the samples so that I could start layering them. And then I find it, and then I find the beats and everything, and then I hand it back. I'm like, here you go, here you go. And no, no, no. First of all, while I'm doing that, they are on their phone, and I'm hearing them play the exact same sound. Oh, I can't even go that deep. I'm hearing them play TikTok, like it's just TikTok and doom scrolling while I'm trying to figure this out instead of trying to help me. Then they're like, "Oh, we're running into something crazy right now. Like we're about to make something crazy." And I'm thinking, like, I'm doing it, and I'm on the trip. I'm tripping too. And I'm thinking, I'm like, dude, what is happening right now? Because I had this idea already, and now it was in front of my face happening. It was crazy. So I'm doing it, hand it back. Then gets off the phone, starts doing it again, and then I pulled out the piano just to like make some sounds or something. And no, 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 no. What I do, what I do, what I do. I pulled out like what you can like make the instrument on, like it's instrument and then it's beat and then it's whatever. And then hand it back to him. Same exact thing. Moves the mouse around a little bit. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I'm like, okay. So I grab it again. Then I click the piano. And then I start playing on the piano and I'm making like a dum 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 boom. Dum 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 dum. Or no no no. Dum 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 dum. No 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 no. Boom 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 ba-dum ba-dum boom. Ba-dum boom boom ba-dum ba-dum boom. Like on the piano, just like I've never done this before, but I'm like da-dum da-dum, like just randomly going and like catching the beat on, looking at me in disbelief at what I'm doing right now. And but it's still doom scrolling while I'm doing it. Doom scrolling, hearing what I have, hearing what I'm playing, looking at it, like going back, going back, going back. And I'm like, what the fuck? And it just kept getting deeper and deeper in that. But you're people are so like they want to give the least amount of effort to get what they actually want. And they were talking about, oh yeah, I want to be a DJ. You're gonna see me one day be a DJ. And I'm like, all right, bet. I'm like, all right, bet. I can't wait to see that because that's gonna be fire. Because I'm hearing you say this now, and then I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be in the crowd, and you're on the stage doing it. And I'm like, that's gonna be crazy, dude. And then they're like, yeah, 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 but didn't want to put any effort into trying to figure out how to actually do it. And then oh my gosh, it was the funniest thing ever. Like I closed it out because I'm like, all right, I'm done with this. I'm like, I was done. And I was like, all right, but I do like that though. And then and then they were like, DJ, like it was like 10 minutes after I stopped. They're like, DJing has to be one of the hardest thing I've ever seen ever. And I was like, oh, now you say that. It was like actually the one of the funniest things I've ever heard someone say. Like one of the funniest situations I've ever been in my life. But yeah, like people say. So when you have the spirit but no mind, people just talk, and they don't want to actually put their mind into making the action into reality. They don't want to put the inspiration into reality because their mind is not there. So that's why I'm once again meaning you have to have those three in mind, body, and spirit to be able to create what you actually want to create and give that 100%. Because if you don't, you're going to be missing one of those, and that's when you give that 50 to 70% because you don't have the three to be able to get the 100. You know what I mean? Because 33, I feel like it's spirit 34%, 33 mind, 33 body. You know what I mean? So you get to that 100, but you're always gonna miss. If you're missing one of those, you're never gonna get to the 100%. Um, and start doing one thing at a time that reconnects yourself to be able to break that like that slump. So yeah, I want to give you advice on how to be able to break that because I know a lot of the time people just talk, but don't like to give advice and like give the game away. But I love giving away game because I love seeing people succeed. You know what I mean? And even if you succeed more than me, I still love seeing it because I'm like, okay, if I see you can do it, I can do it too. You know what I mean? It inspires me more. But first thing I would say is start doing one thing that reconnects you with yourself. So like whatever you've liked in the past before that you've kind of got away from since you've like been growing into an adult and having to like have actual responsibilities. Excuse me. So just start doing one thing a day to be able to do that. No matter if it's like journaling, art, music, video recording, content creation, podcasting, video games. Video games are a little iffy because you can just get into like a doom scroll of video gaming, and that's not really good. Um, but yeah, just getting closer to yourself because I know a lot of the time we get away from ourselves because we're in the real world and we're having to pull ourselves everywhere else. You know what I mean? Um, and revisiting, I guess, it's the same thing. Revisiting your passions as well, because reconnecting with yourself is where your passions come from. That inspiration, that's where that comes from. So just once again, like revisiting podcasting, content creating, games, music, art, poems, journals, writing, anything that has to do with you putting your mind on like into the real world, get back into it. Change your environment as well. A lot of people get stuck in their room all day, every day, and even they get stuck around the wrong people every day. That big group of friends that you have, I might need to change the environment because they could be holding you down. You know what I mean? Because you got to remember, the people who think this way, there's not a lot of people who think this way at all. So if you have a really big friend group, like close friend group, there's a chance that 70% of them are that way. You know what I mean? So just like connecting yourself with the people who are going to be able to inspire you because there's a lot of people who deter you in the real world. Um, and how being in just living mode can feel safe but also depressing because just living is depressing because yeah, you could be working a lot, but then you don't have the time to spend the money that you are earning, and then you don't know what to spend your money on because you're just fucking throwing it all out there because you get the dopamine hits of buying something. And then you're just living, so you don't have any like you don't have any stories to give, you don't have any knowledge to give because you're just living. When you're going to work, you're giving your mind up to work because you have to stay present, obviously. So you're giving it up, and then you come back home and you don't do anything. You're just sitting there. So you have to remember that. Yeah, yeah, just living in the moment is good, but just living in general is not good because once again, it is so depressing when you're just living. You gotta be alive. Be alive. Have a fire inside you. I just spit, but that's the fire just came out of me, man. Oh, I'm telling you, please, please, like put something into the world. The world takes from us so often, day in and day out. It takes from you, but if you're able to get get a part of you taken from the real world and still be able to put something out in the world, that's where real success comes from. That's where real love, inspiration, influence, that's where all that comes from, when you're able to put this into reality. And this, the spirit and the mind into reality, that's when things start to change. And a lot of people, they just stop dreaming because dreaming requires energy, courage, and hope. And when you are not indulged in yourself to have those things, there you can't do anything. Like I said earlier, the brain shuts down creativity, dreams, and risk taking when it's just trying to keep safe. So when you're in that survival mode, same thing here. How people stop dreaming because it requires energy, which is creativity. It requires courage, which is dreaming, because you have to be courageous enough to dream. And then it requires energy, which is risk taking. It takes a lot to be able to do this, but you know it's worth it at the end. Because look at all these successful people in the world. They have they have had to work, maybe not for so long, but very hard to be able to sustain themselves while they're actually learning what they want to do, sustaining themselves while they're doing what they love to do. Then, once they do it for either as hard as they need to or as long as they need to, at the end of it, that's when life becomes easy because now you're living in your dream. You are living in your dream now. Now you just have to keep it sustained. So please just remember that we are able to do whatever you have in your spirit, because God, your God, whatever who it is, your higher being gives you that inspiration. So you have to be spiritually intact with yourself and mentally intact with yourself, because if you're spiritually intact without the mental, remember, if you are spiritually intact with yourself but can't be mentally intact with yourself, you're always going to be a talker. You're always going to be oh, what if instead of doing. So just remember that you do have the opportunity. You have the spirit and the inspiration here. It's all here. It's already here. You just have to dive in it enough. And then when you find that inspiration, now you have to be able to put your mind into it as well to be able to figure out how to make that inspiration become a reality. And you have to keep your body intact to be able to be healthy enough to make it happen. Woo! I did not want to make this podcast, but I'm so glad I made this podcast now because I'm feeling great. Now I got to take this placement test for school, and I'm about to try and crush this because I bombed the math one I had to just do at 10 o'clock this morning. But I'm really good at English, so I hope that I'm able to do this. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. You're gonna see this on Thursday. I hope you guys are crushing. I hope you crush this week. I hope that you are closer to the weekend and you're able to relax a little bit, whatever you do got going on this weekend. Um, on Friday, I'm going to a Cavs game, and then we have worship night on the floor after the Cavs game, which is about to be sick. So, yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I'm going to Columbus to, yeah, no. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Good luck this week. Good luck, this weekend as well. Good things are coming. Good things are on the way. Let's go.